Mike Johnson and the rest of his MAGA majority in the House is clearly panicking. They know they only have two options, and both of them are bad. Either they pass a budget that's for the billionaires and by the billionaires with an $800 billion cut to Medicaid and have their constituents even more pissed off at them, or they fail to do so, shut down the government, and get that blame too. It's all bad for Mike Johnson, and so he is lashing out at Democrats who are refusing to save him, as they should, in a pretty bad temper tantrum that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into Mike Johnson's little temper tantrum, I want to hear from someone who called out MAGA in the most perfect way, friend of the show, Jim McGovern.
You know, we stand just 4 days away from a government shutdown. So let's be crystal clear about who's running the show here, because some of my Republican colleagues seem confused. Republicans run the House. Republicans run the Senate. And the White House is a Republican-run circus led by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. You guys talk about winning by a landslide. You talk about having a mandate. Well, that makes this very simple. If the government shuts down, there is no mystery about who's to blame. No excuses, no spin. It will be because Republican dysfunction and Republican extremism got in the way. And if we are being really honest here, Republicans have been trying to shut the government down since Trump took over. Trump's Office of Management and Budget tried to do that last month by unilaterally freezing all federal spending. When the American people pushed back, Republicans realized they had shut it down. Republicans realized they had to shut it down more covertly. That's when Trump gave Elon Musk and Doge unprecedented power to sabotage the federal government, letting them hack into agencies and dismiss thousands of critical federal workers. And now it seems like you all just want to shut the government down the old-fashioned way by not doing your job and failing to fully fund it. The continuing resolution in front of us today is just more of the same. You're trying to gut programs people rely on so you can give more handouts to billionaires. I mean, this CR goes after support for our veterans. We know veterans have been fired through Doge's purges, and we know that Republicans want to fire some 80,000 people who help take care of veterans. Now Republicans are using this CR to gut funds for veterans exposed to burn pits, Agent Orange, and other toxic substances. Another big middle finger to veterans. Republicans have already fired Social Security Administration workers. This CR would make it easier to fire more of them, meaning that when seniors call for help with their Social Security check, they're going to have to wait even longer to get a real person on the other end to help them out. And I can't believe it, but this bill defunds police. This bill takes away from law enforcement, firefighters, and EMTs in D.C. Wild, coming from the party that couldn't resist meddling in D.C.'s local laws last Congress under the guise of concern for public safety and homelessness in the city. You know, the way Republicans treat the district is not only disrespectful, it's just plain rotten, and we'll be talking more about that later on. Some of the things in this bill are just so stupid and irresponsible. Giving Trump the tools to dismantle NOAA right before we head into another hurricane season. I mean, that's really smart. There are at least 22 instances where this bill sets program funding to zero. So please don't insult people's intelligence by calling this a clean CR. There's nothing clean about this. It's 99 pages, for God's sake. This is a sham, and it's the same sham Republicans have been pulling from day one. Stealing from America to enrich themselves and their billionaire donors. Looting from hardworking people to pad the pockets of ultra-rich 1% weirdos like Elon Musk. Again, this CR is not a clean CR. It is a hurtful bill that will impact everyday Americans. But that is the Republicans' choice to make. You run the House, you run the Senate, you run the executive. Republicans are in charge, and this is their CR. And if they shut down the government, it will be crystal clear for all to see who is to blame. No doubt in anyone's mind. If we shut down, it will be a Republican shutdown. I yield back.
Jim is so spot on. And it's what we talk about on the show all the time. MAGA has pushed this lie. They've sold this narrative that it was the biggest mandate ever. What a tremendous victory. But now they don't have the votes to pass their agenda. I thought this was the agenda America wanted. Isn't that what you told us, MAGA? That it was going to just skate through because people were so excited for you to steal their health care to pay for another $1 trillion tax cut for Elon Musk? Oh, that's not the case? Well, Mike Johnson clearly doesn't think so, because he is now accusing Democrats of lying about the budget in this temper tantrum he threw right here.
Thanks so much, Mr. Leader. Thanks for these extraordinary members who are behind us and participating this morning. I think the leaders stated it well, and others have said it well this morning. This is a moment of great change in Washington. It's also a moment of clarity and real contrast. The contrast was on display last week on the House floor. It was a shameful display by the Democrats. They are flailing, as is noted. They have no leader, no vision, no plan, no platform they can run on, because that was repudiated in the election. And they're in a panic mode right now, and so you see them lashing out. You see increasing profanity. There are many stories, many of you have written about this new track they've taken, the new strategy where they just scream and shout and curse at everyone. I don't think that's going to be very productive either. And you also see the contrast going on this morning. They either have an issue with reading comprehension, or they are attempting to run one of the most shameful misinformation campaigns that we've ever seen in our lives. We filed that the CR, the continuing resolution, on Saturday, and as was noted, they had already come out panning the bill that literally had not yet been seen. They said, quote, this is the House Democrat leadership team's statement on Friday. Remember, the bill was filed on Saturday afternoon. On Friday, they said, quote, Republicans have decided to introduce a partisan continuing resolution that threatens to cut funding for health care, nutritional assistance, and veterans benefits through the end of the year. Every single word of that is a lie. Every single, they just made it up.
Really? Are you serious? We're lying? The numbers are there. Can we do some math? Can you read? I know your president can't, but it's all there. We know what you are trying to accomplish. You want to cut Medicaid. You want to cut Medicare. You eventually want to get rid of Social Security entirely. This is all about a big tax cut. You're not going to do any looking into the military, the blow to the Pentagon, but you will go after USAID. You will go after Medicaid. You will take hot lunches away from public school students to save a couple of bucks so Elon can get about 100, 200, 300 billion more. By the way, it's not saving money when you take it away from kids. You're just a dick. That's what they're trying to accomplish. This is not a lie. This is the truth. This is what's clear. That's why they're panicking. But it's not just the budget in which they are trying to accomplish a very dangerous goal. It's also in the way that they want to weaponize government, something that they accused Joe Biden of a lot, but now seem to be wanting to do themselves. Jamie Raskin pointed that out in this clip right here.
Mr. Chairman, we have no kings here, no queens, no titles of nobility, no serfs, no slaves. Our revolution overthrew monarchy and the established church. It made our Constitution supreme over the monarchical and oligarchical political ambitions of any man. The 13th and 14th Amendments abolished slavery and gave equal protection to all, royal status to none. But in our time, Donald Trump's crime spree throughout American society has tested the hard-won principle that we are all equal and that no one is above the law. The Supreme Court that Trump has repeatedly bragged about packing and stacking to destroy Roe versus Wade not only brought the curtain down on the freedom and health security of tens of millions of American women trapped in GOP-controlled anti-choice states, it also made the president absolutely immune from prosecution for crimes he commits under the so-called core functions of his office, presumptively immune from prosecution for other so-called official acts, and subject to prosecution only for private unofficial acts. After more than 2 centuries, this bracing new taxonomy for licensing presidential criminality was announced by the Roberts Court in a 6-3 decision in U.S. versus Trump. It creates presidential exceptionalism, a plainly dangerous doctrine which overturned a unanimous ruling of the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. But even that shocking burst of finger painting on the Constitution isn't enough for Trump and his crowd, who seek now complete immunity and impunity from the laws that bind the rest of us. It's not even enough for them to appoint a nationwide crew of embarrassingly servile judges like Aileen Cannon, who may as well be on the bench in Putin's Russia, as she shows little fidelity to the rule of law, but fastidious devotion to the whims of her dear leader. Now they want to pass something called the Pepper Act, to let Trump and his accomplices get their political corruption and election-fixing cases removed from any state court in the land and put in front of far more submissive and pliant Trump appointees in federal court. Donald Trump tried this move in one of his criminal cases, the one in New York City, where he was found guilty of 34 felony criminal counts of falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments he had paid to a mistress before the 2016 election. There, his judge rejected his request to move everything to federal court, saying Trump had failed to meet both the current statutory and constitutional requirements for doing that. As Judge Hellerstein observed in his ruling, the evidence overwhelmingly suggests that the matter was a purely personal item of the president, a cover-up of an embarrassing event. Hush money paid to an adult film star is not related to a president's official acts. It does not reflect in any way the color of the president's official duties. Removal to federal court is reserved for cases where there is an actual federal defense. Let's say the president was tried in Florida state court for assaulting a citizen, but his defense was that the alleged victim was a soldier, and he was just administering fair punishment as commander-in-chief of the army in a time of actual conflict. In that hypothetical case, it would be removed so the federal judiciary could handle the federal question defense. There was plainly no federal question defense in Trump's hush money record falsification scheme.
Now, there was another provision that was just kind of snuck into this bill at the last second, that Congress would be allowing Donald Trump to unilaterally, as he already kind of has, or he really has, act in whatever way he wants with his tariffs. Now, it's usually a matter of national security when the president can exercise some tariffing power. But MAGA just wants to let Donald Trump do whatever he wants with the tariffs that have so quickly destroyed our economy, because they want him to, as Jamie Raskin said, be God King. And that's what I've pointed out a couple of times is really central to the whole tariff bit or shtick or series of economically disastrous events. That Donald Trump is trying to coalesce as much power as possible in the Oval Office for himself and for Elon. And that's a lot of what this budget is about. And it is why we have to take so many steps to call it out. And we're going to on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.